Pirates, not Errol Flynn or Douglas Fairbanks Jr., but that's what they're called, and it's not a gleaming clipper ship, but a broken-down bucket which has drawn the attention of the federal government.
In the summer of 1987, a group of pirates invaded New York City. For Inside Edition Digital, I'm Sal Bono, and this is New York Gritty.
There's a new rock station in town. Well, not really in town, really in the water. And it may be illegal. It's a pirate radio station, 4.5 miles off Long Beach, Long Island.
A group of us that wanted to bring free speech radio to the New York City metropolitan area. Because remember, at that time, back in the 1980s, getting into the New York City market, you would have needed 30, 40, 50, 60 million dollars to buy an existing AM or FM radio station. So we decided to go another legal route, which was to outfit a ship as a broadcasting ship and put it in international territory, which is about 3 miles off the coast of Long Island, New York. We spent the year of 1986 outfitting an old fishing trawler that we had purchased. We were at a small little shipyard up in Boston outfitting the ship. It was a very cost-effective thing that we did because, you know, it cost millions of dollars to outfit a proper ship, but it didn't cost us that. It cost us thousands of dollars to do it. And then in the summer of 1987, we set sail from Boston and anchored about 3.5 miles off the coast of Long Beach, Long Island, New York.
In the 1980s, radio was a powerful medium, especially when it came to music. Explain to me how much power the radio airwaves had in the late 80s over listeners, and what did it have in terms of influence on record sales?
If you got played on the radio, you had a hit. And even though there was less freedom in those days, commercial music radio was still the core of the music culture in the U.S.
The so-called pirates decided to hijack the airwaves and promote free speech, as well as protest the music of corporate radio.
Around July 22nd, in the year of our Lord, 1987, we fired up on 1620 AM, and it was 103.7 FM, and we went on the air test broadcasting with freeform music and free speech commentary, about 6 hours a night. We did this for about 4 or 5 days. We didn't have cell phones back then, so we really didn't know what was going on, and then all of a sudden we start listening to the radio, to the news stations in New York, and all of a sudden all these news stories, you know, well, there's a pirate ship off the coast of New York and blah, and all this and stuff, and I go, oh, good, people are listening to us, great.
R&I says they are on the air as a kind of protest against what they call the staleness of the New York City broadcast media.
We're here to supply the listeners with the music, rock and roll music, old and new, to everybody out in New York, the world, even the nation, who knows.
We even had a radio permit to broadcast from the country of Honduras. And we were in international territory, and we went on the air. And we were using frequencies that caused no interference or no harm. And we did it for freedom of speech. We did it to get bands and groups on the air.
In 87, you've got The Clash, you've got the Ramones, you've got punk and new wave, you've got Depeche Mode, you've got new, great, amazing sounds that were getting radio airplay. So what sounds were you protesting here?
Well, I don't think it was so much of a protest as it was another form of access. And that was what was in my heart, okay, as director of the project.
Wiener told me that the ship was ready to play new emerging music at the time, like hip-hop and New York hardcore and other genres that mainstream radio just wasn't paying attention to.
It wasn't probably so much the music, it was the protest of corporate, and corporate saying what the public will and won't hear.
Using shortwave radio transmitters, the pirates were able to broadcast to the masses of New York City.
A shortwave radio is a radio that operates on a different set of frequencies aside from AM and FM. And it's used basically to pick up international radio stations that operate on shortwave.
How easy or difficult is it to quote unquote hijack the airwaves, so to speak.
It's not difficult at all.
While this sounds harmless, in reality, the FCC said it was illegal to broadcast without a license on an unassigned frequency, no matter how far the ship was out to sea.
We were on for about 4 or 5 days, and then, as the old saying goes, the ship hit the fan. The Coast Guard, the FBI, everybody just came out there and stopped the station and arrested me and Ivan Rothstein, who was on board the ship, and put us in handcuffs. And, we're all going, we're in international territory. You have no jurisdiction here. And, but what are you going to do? They got the guns and we don't.
Radio New York International didn't rock on the airwaves for long. Today, several announcers, including Monticello resident Alan Weiner, were arrested and charged with violating an international telecommunications convention treaty.
Arraignment. We're operating on 4 frequencies, AM, FM, shortwave, and longwave. And the Coast Guard and the FCC coordinated with the State Department before taking legal action.
If convicted, they will face a maximum sentence of 5 years in jail and/or a $250,000 fine.
We never would have established the station if we knew it was illegal. We had no intention to break any laws.
The FCC simply wasn't amused by the pirate ship's broadcast interfering with licensed stations.
There are legal ways to operate a broadcast station and get a license and do that. You don't have to go off and operate a radio station off the coast to achieve those ends.
Their grounds were that we were impeding the proper functioning of the United States government. Those allegations were thrown out, and what the government did is they went to a court and they got a personal restraining order against me and a couple of the other operators on board the ship, which forbid us from operating a radio station anywhere on Earth unlicensed. And unfortunately, when you get a restraining order and you violate it, it becomes a contempt of court situation, and you'll generally ending up in jail or heavy fine or both. And that impeded us.
Weiner says he and his band of radio rebels tried to fight the FCC and U.S. government in court, but they ultimately lost the battle.
So we tried to fight it. We actually got the American Civil Liberties Union on our side, and we tried to fight it.
Following his adventure on the high seas, Allen put the ship in storage in Boston. He later sold the ship to MGM Pictures, who used it as a prop and blew it up in the 1994 Jeff Bridges and Tommy Lee Jones movie, Blown Away. After years of fighting, Alan Weiner finally got his radio license. Today, he and his wife Angela run WBCQ, using the same philosophies of the pirate radio. This one's for Angela. What's it like being married to a pirate?
Arg matey, man.
Arg matey.
Well, I can tell you the passion still continues.